Okay, can you guys still hear?
Yes.
Can you hear back there, Mr. Sanders? Okay, we're good.
Call the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have to do one. Page?
Here.
Dahl? Here. Philippos?
Here.
Harvey? Here. Kenders?
Here.
Claren? Here. Yough?
Here.
Wachek?
Here.
Youghlander?
Here.
Yeah, we got to do the first item before we do public comment.
Motion to approve the resolution restating the board policies governing the rules and regulations of the meeting of the Board of School Directors, Section 8, Attachment 1. Any questions? We need a motion.
McLaren?
A second?
Dahl?
Second by Dahl. Roll call?
H?
Yes.
Dahl? Yes. Harvey? Yes. Kenders?
Yes.
Claren? Yes. Yough?
Yes.
Wachek?
Yes.
Youghlander?
Yes.
Philippos?
Yes. Motion carries. Public comment on agenda items only.
Yeah, the microphone, I think, is on.
Thank you, Chris Boucher, Roughdale, PA. I'd just like to make comment on budget and finance, number 5, 20-6-F-4. Before the board takes review and approves or disapproves this evening, as a taxpayer, as a parent, as an involved citizen in this community, I just want people to be aware that not everyone finds a flat level on millage to be a good thing. Also, if I don't have representation of my tax dollars and I see things depleted in our school district, I consider it a tax increase. If things remain flat, that's one thing, but if we reduce or we try to cut, I'm paying more for the items that I expect that need to happen in our community, in our school district. So I just want to point that out, and also point out that I have no problem if we had a tax increase as long as we had something that represented our school district in the same likeness. Thank you.
Could you do me a favor? Could you repeat that line item that you said? You read it quickly and I couldn't write it down, please.
Yeah, it's a 20-6-F-4. That's the approval of the financial budget tonight.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Superintendent's report. Oh, sorry. Got it.
I'd like to state an opposing view of what Mr. Bouchard had to say. As someone who was on the budget committee, I had a lot of concerns. And I think really in some ways there should have probably even been more cuts. I was concerned about the delinquency. If we have a 5% delinquency in property taxes because people are unemployed, that could mean about $550,000 that we would lose in revenue. If it went up to about 10%, it would be a little over $1 million. And heaven help us if it went up to 15%, because it would be $1.6 million. With the unemployment rate being the way it is, the revenue from wage taxes is not going to be there. And I just kind of felt in some way the board was very, very, they were more than generous, I think, with the cuts that they didn't make. Because, like I said, I kind of thought that we needed actually more to be able to get through this budget. So that's my only comment. Thank you.
Any other citizens' comments? Superintendent's report?
Under Superintendent's report this evening, I have some congratulations. I want to congratulate the following students for being selected as April Cougars of the Month. We have some more this month because obviously we were online learning and we had some kids that really, really worked hard. So we have some extra kids in April and May. In grade 5, Savannah Brick, Kidrick Smersh, Brody King, and Emily Kovacs. In grade 6, Landon Honick, Corbin Reinstatler, Graydon Hurst, and Brooke Rothwell. In grade 7, Julie Schuber, J.C. Craig, T.J. Hoyle, and Eva Hatfield. In grade 8, Isabella Eigner, Maggie Krubenaker, Sienna Bobnar, and Nevaeh Kunkel. In May, our 5 through 8 Cougars of the Month, grade 5, Kylie Fisher, Kirsten O'Delly, Elias Birch, and Andrew Smollich. In grade 6, Anthony Smith, Haley Omasta, Isaac Birch, Emma Padgakal. In grade 7, Frankie Yuvon, Elizabeth Dietz, Alexandra Zucker, Hayden Glasgow. In grade 8, Maria Lindich, Carter McGrew, Emma Zahorchak, and Melissa Runkle. So congratulations to those students. I would also like to congratulate the following teachers for receiving the Donors Choose grants. Libby Pasquale received $1,368 for Legos Inspire Future Architects. Ms. Lux received $488 for materials that make the classroom run. And Mrs. Mitchell received $234 for Osmo is Awesome. I would also like to spend a moment and congratulate the members of our class of 2020 for winning academic awards and scholarships. So congratulations to that group of students. One informational item this evening, I want to congratulate Mrs. Lisa Trader. She received her Professional Facility Management Institute credential on April 29th of 2020. The credential is valid through April of 2023. So she took online classes and had to pass a number of tests to receive that credentialing, and that is through Penn State. And then finally this evening, we have one presentation. Mr. Meyer is going to do our final budget presentation.
Thank you. I hope everybody can hear me okay. At the May 5th board meeting, the proposed final budget was approved by this school board with total expenditures of $33,829,000 and a use of the fund balance of $616,167. No tax increase. Current millage was set at 90.341. From the April to that May board meeting, we as administrators, we cut $230,000 out of that budget, including cuts to the building instruction budgets of $94,000, facilities and technology of $46,000, personnel and benefits of $129,500. But we also did add some tuition expense back in for outside placements and the possibility of increase in charter schools. The impact on the revenue, we eliminated the state budgeted basic education and special ed subsidy of about $88,953,000, and that actually, the number that was in last month's budget was actually what was passed by the state legislators on June 2nd. Local tax collections, we reduced by $495,000 or 3.4%. At the May 5th meeting, it was indicated by several board members that they were okay with the budget for May, but when we come back in June, they wanted to see a balanced budget and no use of the fund balance. The budget that we have in front of the board members tonight does do that. Total expenditures of $33,442,315, which is only an increase of $66,000 over last year's budget. No tax millage increase, and does not use any fund balance. Additional cuts that were made to make this possible: we did eliminate one other instructional position, and other changes to salary and benefits of $175,000. The technology budget was reduced by $49,000. Athletic budget was reduced by almost $14,000. We did negotiate with the company with the new reading series program, and we're able to pay that over a 2-year period. Reduced their professional development by $12,600, And some other line items such as professional services and fees, we reduced by $33,000. We did make some changes on the revenue side. Our state subsidies, because we reduced some salary and benefits, our subsidies share for pension and Social Security reimbursement was reduced by $30,000. I did increase the transportation subsidy by $78,000, and the reason for that was in May, when I presented the transportation subsidy line item, I was claiming only the actual days we transported, which was 131 days. The state has since passed language that we're going to be able, because we paid our contractor for the 180 days, we'll be able to claim 180 days for transportation reimbursement. Our federal allocations for Title I, II, and IV came out from the federal government, and that actually reduced by $31,000. And I also then reduced our local tax collections by an additional $66,000 based on a model of potential COVID revenue loss that was put out by PASBO. And then between May and the June meeting, we did get allocated the CARES Act funding of over $280,000. So when you look at the revenue side of the budget for next year, I did adjust our earned income tax collections by a reduction of 14%. Our current real estate tax bill, I decreased by 2.1%. And our overall local tax collections, I reduced by $570,000 as a result of COVID. On May 27th, the Budget and Finance Committee met in executive session. We went through every single personnel position in this district, and it was presented to them, and the cost of our total salaries for next year of roughly $13.6 million. In addition to that, we as administrators also talked about the transportation routes, and they were reviewed for additional savings. I will say this with transportation, it is not our regular routes that are pushing the number up. It's our specialty routes, whether they're charter school students, whether they're non-public ed students, or whether they're special needs students. Currently, right now, we have 27 additional vans running in addition to our regular 23 bus routes. And on those 27 vans, we have 9 monitors. So that is the explanation when you look at the transportation budget line, why there's such an increase in that line for next year. We did look at some service contracts such as grass cutting, snow removal, disposal, and most of those contracts will be renewing over the next 12 to 15 months, and we're going to be negotiating prices with that. Just to give you an update on earned income tax collections, again, schools closed on March 13th. Our tax collections for April and May combined is down by 5.3% is all. So year to date, we're down only 41,000, and that's January through May 31st. Our collections are only down by 41,000. So that next year's budget, I have a decrease of 14.1% decrease in earned income. And I do want to clarify, I know I had this discussion with a few board members, and people may have read this in the newspapers. There was some question regarding the homestead, farmstead reduction of tax bills for next year. The state on May 1st has to certify that they have enough money for property tax relief. They did, but then COVID-19 came in, and it turned out that they didn't have enough gaming revenue to support a full homestead relief for next year. To the state's credit, to the legislature's credit, they backfilled that number with their federal stimulus money. So in Yough School District, there are 4,624 eligible parcels that will get a $166 discount on their tax bill for next year. And with that, I am open to questions. Yeah, we had talked about at one point at the end of May that they were only going to support half of that decrease. When the state passed their budget on June 2nd, they backfilled it with their federal dollars, so we do get a full 100% on that relief. And with that, I am open for any questions anybody has. And again, this has no tax increase, balanced budget, and no use of the fund balance.
No questions?
That's all I have on our superintendent's report.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Thank you, Dr. Sarden. Under
Thank-
Budget and Finance, approve items 1 through 3. Are there any board questions? Need a motion?
So moved.
Second?
McLaren?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approve the general fund bills for payment. Any questions?
I just have one. Regarding the, $7,000, is this, the $7,000 bill for it's mulching? Were we getting bids on that, or that was the final cost? I can't
That was,
remember.
we got quotes on it, that was our final cost and the only amount we were gonna spend, we don't have to roll about that.
How many bids did we get? Were they
3.
3?
Yep.
I
Yeah.
remember it, but I know, okay.
I have one question under utilities for the 11 months that has gone up 12.2%. Could you explain that, Mr. Myers?
Yeah. In the budget performance report, utilities are overspent for the 11-month period. Two factors are playing into that. The first factor is the district, with Key Tech Energy, our energy consultants, we do a demand response program, and they actually pay us money to be a participant in that program. That number is roughly right around 20,000. That credit hasn't been applied to the utility bill yet, so that will reduce that number by $20,000. And then also, when I look at a 4-year history of the spending, particularly with natural gas and electric, I honestly think the number was a little bit under budgeted for the last 2 years, just with the history of the 4-year spending for those two line items, particularly at the middle school building. I think it's just under budgeted for next year, or for the past year, and that has been corrected for next year.
Thank you. Any other board questions?
Okay, and I do. I just have a couple of questions. Can you just briefly tell me, there's multiple line items for COVID supplies. So can you just let the public know what you were required to buy for all of those listings under the bills?
Sure. So for the COVID supplies, you'll see in their PPE things such as masks, gowns, hand sanitizer, cleaning supplies, Clorox wipes, and you see so many of them because we can only get so many at a time. So we're trying to do our best to kind of stockpile over the course of the summer, because you have to have so much of things in order to be able to think about starting back up school in the fall. So that's why you'll see all of those different things. We also had to buy a number of head thermometers, so stuff like that.
Any other questions? Need a motion?
McLaren?
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Beach?
No.
Dahl?
Yes.
Harvey? Yes. Kenders?
Yes.
McLaren? Snowden?
Yes.
Wachek?
Yes.
Ulander?
Yes.
Phillips?
Yes. Motion carries. Number 5, approve the final budget, which reflects revenues equal to expenditures with a no millage increase. Any questions?
I have a comment. All right. When I joined this school board, I wanted the current students and future students of Yough to receive a better education than my fellow students and I did when we were at Yough. When we were students at Yough, my fellow students and I had no pride to say we went to Yough. When we were asked a question, we would answer, "I don't know, I go to Yough." Well, 2 years ago, I told my son that story, and he replied, "Why would you say that?" When he said that, I knew we were doing a better job than the leaders of our school when I attended. When I look at this budget, I fear we are now going back to those days. After missing so much face time with students last year and 9 teachers retiring, we are only replacing 1 of them in this budget. Okay, the pandemic has happened and money is tight. The students have lost 3 months worth of education. This is not the time to make cuts to education. This budget cuts 8 teachers, technology, and teacher conferences and workshops. Again, the teachers and staff are in uncharted waters and need to learn from others. And these are not parties, as some believe. I beg all parents and grandparents of the district to think about this change in direction. This group was elected by saying they could cut education costs. Well, yes, if you cut education resources for students, you can cut education costs. I can't argue with that. If you believe cutting 8 teachers isn't going to affect the education of our students, then I don't know what to say to you. Don't get me wrong, I want to cut teacher costs to the district also, but educating with fewer of them at this critical time isn't the direction I want to go. At the first meeting of this new board, a motion was made to get bids for turf on the baseball and softball fields. Now, a little more than 6 months later, we are voting to make these cuts to education. How did we get here? A pandemic didn't change things that much, financially, and most assuredly shouldn't have changed our goal to educate the kids to the best of our ability. The number of us on this board with that goal appears to have really gone down. So in closing, fellow members of the board, please don't let those that want to say that they didn't raise the taxes and didn't take any money from the fund balance convince you to approve this budget. Anyone that votes for this budget is voting to change the direction of Yough and bring back the days of us being looked down on by our own students.
Any other board comments? I would like to thank the budget chairperson, Mrs. McLaren, Mr. Novacek, Mr. Nogi, administration, Mr. Myers, Dr. Sarden. I'd like to thank the public participation, Mrs. Knorr, Mr. Fossey, Mrs. Bickett-Neal for seeing some of the items on the budget. We do appreciate that. During these pandemic times, I'll just make a comment. I think that you have to look at things a little differently, and by using fund balance, my comment would be, if it's worse than what we think, next year we start the year in the hole. So I think the board would rather be prepared, balance the budget. We didn't make cuts to education. The superintendent recommended that we didn't need to bring back all these teachers. So that's my comment. Does anybody on the board want to say anything?
Well, I feel that leaving the budget like this right now is the right thing to do because we're in uncharted waters still. We have no idea, starting the beginning of this school year, what we're going to have to deal with and what expenses may arise as a result of the restrictions that are going to be put on us to educate the kids. So I think keeping the budget tight right now is the right thing to do. And as Mr. Philippou said, we can make adjustments down the road if we find out that it's going to cost us more for special things that are going to need to take place within the district as far as bringing the kids back in the building.
Any other board comments?
I agree. I mean, there was lots of things that we looked at. Unfortunately, there are just areas that you need to look at. I mean, Jim has told us time and time again, and I don't know how many different ways, that unfortunately there are going to be a lot of hard decisions to have to make if we are not careful this year. I mean, we went over increased special education needs, increased charter school costs, the PSER rate that's going to be going up, and even higher to a degree that we're not even unsure what that number is going to be. The transportation funding, I mean, the sick day payments that we have. We did not cut any teachers. Those teachers retired. We looked at the classroom sizes, and Dr. Sargent, with the work of the board, felt that the classroom sizes were not going to be overwhelming. Dr. Sargent, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we looked at the classroom sizes, we looked at elementary. I mean, elementary schools have 14 and 16 students in them. To me, that is not overcrowding. We kept all-day kindergarten. We did not make any cuts there. Any classes that they felt that needed to be added to curriculum, none of that was brought to our attention, except for the reading series that we decided that we would definitely do, and the provider of that reading series was grateful enough to spread that cost over 2 years. And so I agree. I think we did a great job, and I don't feel that any student was cut or anything was left out of the budget.
Janet, can I ask you what our student-to-teacher ratio is?
It depends on the grade level. Some of our elementary, I don't want you to be wrong, some of our elementary has that low class size, some are a little bit higher than that. It ranges between 16 and 22 for elementary class size, which is still obviously reasonable.
That's the higher grade.
It depends on the building. At the elementary level, the average class size is about 1 to 18, give or take, so that's the average. At the middle school, it's about 1 to 20 to 22, and the high school is about the same. It depends on the course and the popularity of the course and how many kids are enrolled. So
I
that's
know
what
you have-
depends. I can tell you that no courses, we don't run any courses at the secondary that have less than 10 kids.
Right.
So,
I know you have constant contact with other superintendents throughout Westmoreland County, for
Right.
example, which was it's easiest to compare us to because that's where we are. How do we fit in, like with other school districts, as far as our student?
I would say
teacher
our
ratios?
student-teacher ratio is about average.
About average?
Yeah.
So-
A little better than average, but average range.
Okay.
I have a question. Were there any classes cut from any of the schools?
I can tell you, at the secondary level, we did eliminate Latin and a graphics class, but those classes had less than 10 kids. So,
Less than
So
one.
10
Less than
kids.
10 kids.
Very small amount of kids, but.
correct. Those classes
Those
weren't,
kids are losing something.
correct, those
So it
wouldn't
could be a
run.
small amount, but they're still losing something. So, I mean, I agree.
But those classes wouldn't have run, so,
But just, you know,
right.
facts are facts, but for those kids, that could be a lot. That way, you have some obligations to kids that sometimes kids provide, and it's not just what requires education, but that. Time where we're gonna look at that way out. That's my opinion.
Any other board comments? Need a motion.
So moved.
Second,
McLaren.
roll call.
H.
No.
Yough.
Yes.
Harvey. Yes. Kenders.
Yes.
McLaren. Yes. Noe.
Yes.
Wojcik.
Yes.
Newlander.
Yes.
Philipos.
Yes. Secretary's report.
Executive sessions were held the following dates: Wednesday, May 27th, 2020, Budget Committee on Personnel. Wednesday, June 9th, 2020, before the meeting for personnel litigation.
Motion to approve the minutes. Any questions? I'm sorry, motion to approve executive sessions. Any questions? Motion?
I don't think you have to motion
Oh.
on that. We're okay, we don't need to motion on that one. We just, as long as we announce it.
Under professional employees, I need a motion for items 1 through 3. And are there any board questions?
I have one. How many years do you have to be here to receive tenure?
3. That's a state law.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, 3.
I think we would like to make a statement that we appreciate that administration is taking a pay freeze for the upcoming year due to COVID-19 and financial stress on the district. I think everybody would thank them for doing that and working with our board and our taxpayers.
Thank you.
Need a motion?
McLaren.
Second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under classified employees, I need a motion to approve items 1 through 2. Are there any board questions?
I have one. How long has Sarah been an employee here?
3 years. She's coming up at the end of the year, too.
Coming up at the end of year 3.
Again, here I would like to thank Chairman Mr. Kenders, Mrs. Dahl, Mrs. Yough, Mr. Myers, Dr. Sarden, and I think it was a pleasure working with the ASME group. I thought it was a positive outcome, and we'd like to thank them for working with the district. That's my only comment.
McLaren?
Are you doing both motions together?
Oh,
You can do them together, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
Are you? Okay, that's fine.
Motion by McLaren, a second.
Second.
You want to do roll call on the contract?
You can roll call the whole thing, yeah.
Are you lumping them together?
Yeah, we're lumping them together. Roll call?
Beach,
Yes.
Dahl? Yes. Harvey? Yes. Kenders?
Yes.
McLaren?
Yes.
Noe?
Yes.
Wachek?
Yes.
Ulander?
Yes.
Phillips?
Yes. Under athletic activity, approve items 1 through 2. Let's see, there's more than so.
Yeah, do you want to lump them?
Yeah, we'll lump items 1 through 4.
Okay.
Are there any board questions? Need a motion.
Harvey?
Second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under district operations, I need a motion to approve items 1 through 9. I think I lumped them.
You know what,
We'll do items
do
1
1 through
through
8, because
yeah.
9 is the CTC, but and I have to do that separate.
Okay,
Okay,
items
which
1
one are you
through
doing
8.
I'm sorry, I can't.
We're going to do items 1 through 8.
Okay.
Any board questions? Motion? A second? McLaren? All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approve the proposed CWCTC budget for the upcoming school year. Any board questions?
Yeah, how much of an increase per student is that?
It's 3.1% increase in tuition. Keep it
Yeah, I
in
know
mind,
that's across the board, but like for us, how much would
Was it
that be
300?
per?
For students?
yeah, it was about 300 per student. Is that what
So
you're
it's an
asking?
increase per student.
Yeah, $300, roughly about, I think it's $271 increase per student. I will say the prior year, there was no tuition increase at the CTC level. So this-
Yeah, they haven't even been there since March.
Yeah.
So they still get
Any other board questions?
Okay, they're doing this stuff.
Need a motion?
McLaren?
Second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Remember,
Aye.
roll call,
We'll have a roll call.
Beach?
no.
Dahl? Yes. Harvey? Yes. Kenders?
Yes.
McLaren?
No.
Noe?
Yes.
Wachek?
Yes.
Ulander?
Yes.
Phillips?
Yes. Under board reports, the IU7 Legislative Council, Mr. Kenders.
I did not attend that meeting, I was off for all three quarters.
Thank you, Steve. CWCTC, Mrs. Dahl.
Well, we've hired an interim director for now. She'll be there 3 days a week.
I'm
until we
sorry,
can
I
find a
cannot
new-
hear a word you're saying. I apologize, but I can't hear you.
So hard.
That
We
left-
hired an interim director. She'll be there 3 days a week. Her name's Marcia Walsh. Until we can get a new director, because the director that we hired in May resigned 18 hours before he was supposed to start. So we're back to trying to find a new director.
Yeah. We did hire somebody, but he chose not to take the job. So the person is interim now for a couple days a week. It's somebody that has experience. I think maybe was even retired. I don't know if she's retired or not. But,
She's retired.
But so she has some experience. Hopefully we'll find somebody. They are using PSBA for the search mechanism for that. So hopefully we'll have somebody in the next, like.
She was assistant director there
Yeah.
for a while.
So hopefully within the next month or so, they'll have somebody hired for the August meeting.
PSBA report, Ms. Harvey. YDA report, I don't think there's anyone here. Old business.
Say that again?
Teachers' contract and
We are currently in the process of, it's kind of where we're at. We're negotiating, it's up on June 30th.
Old business. New business. Solicitors report.
My report was given in executive session. And thanks again to the negotiating team, they did a good job.
Thank you, Tricia. Citizens' comments? Citizens' comments?
In light of the vote tonight and the understanding that funds are not there or available, can you tell me, I guess this goes to the board president, what is the result from any action taken against Tanaska and trying to regain funds from them?
We have been, due to COVID-19, we were going to meet with the county commissioners, but due to that, we're still waiting to hear back from them. Now that it's green, I will contact them again to see if we could work with them, Dr. Sarden, and then our solicitor, as well as,
We're waiting for them to assign the case up at the county. Unfortunately, right before it was assigned, the COVID-19 shut down the courthouse. They're attempting to reschedule everything now. They just opened, I believe, June 1st. So we're watching the docket to see if that can get scheduled here.
Are retro funds in there as well?
It's back from the date of their filing, so whatever happens, it'll go back to that date.
Thank you. And we expect to see how much if we would win that. Dollar figure.
I don't know, to be quite honest with you. There's a lot of a vast disparity between the numbers, what they put into that, what they were assessed at, what their building permit was at, and that's why it's reached this level of the court. I couldn't even, I think it would be irresponsible of me at this time to give the public any kind of indication what that number would be. I'm certainly more hopeful that it will be higher than what they were assessed at by the county. And that's what we've been trying to work on.
All right, thank you.
any other citizens' comments?
First, I want to say to Mr. Myers, Superintendent Sarden, I think it's one of the best budgets I've seen here since I retired. I have a question for the superintendent. Were there
Take
any?
your mask down a little bit. I cannot hear a word you're saying. Please,
All right.
just a little
How's
bit.
that? I have a question, Superintendent Sarden. Were there any cuts made, the 8 positions, the $600,000 that I heard was taken out of the budget between the tentative and the final now? Were there any cuts that you really believe is going to set back education here in Yough?
I made the recommendations for the cuts that were made. If I thought that they were going to educationally harm the district, I would not have made the recommendation if I didn't think we could handle it.
Okay. Seems one of your board members would disagree, but thank you. Mr. Beige, you've been on the board for quite a few years, haven't you? What is it, 12 now? Hello?
You have a
Mr.
question?
Lovato,
You know the
you have
answer.
to
What's the question?
address comments to the board. as
Yeah,
a
and you're
whole.
not supposed to talk directly to me anyway.
I am going to ask you a question.
When we leave, you can ask me a question.
No, I'm going to ask you now.
Well, go ahead, ask me a question then.
Thank you. Appreciate that. You've been on the board for almost 12 years, and you're sitting here this evening and telling everybody else on the board how this budget should work. As I recall, five years ago, beginning I believe in 2011, you and your other board members ravaged the fund balance of over $6 million. In 5 years, you used $5,500,000. That was nothing more than a slush fund for you. You tell me why taxpayers should create a fund balance for you, and you're going to just arbitrarily use it for anything you want.
Arbitrarily use it for anything we want.
Okay.
Okay, is that what we did with it? Is that what we did with it?
Take your mask off. I can't hear you. You're mumbling.
Is that what we did with it? Arbitrarily used it
I
for
can't-
whatever we wanted?
I can't hear you.
Oh,
Okay? But anyway, I want to thank the board. I think you did the right thing tonight, in spite of one of your board members. Thank you.
Are there any other public comments?
Kathy Devanto, Wino, PA. I just want to thank the board tonight. I think that the meeting was conducted very well until the end. I myself have been involved way back when the board didn't get along, and it was nothing but utter chaos and confusion. So tonight I want to thank you for that. And I don't want to see the board go backwards. Please go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. With no further comments, motion to adjourn.
8:18.
8:18. Motion.
So moved.
Second.
McLaren.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thanks, Amy and Alan. I'm going to hang up unless you need anything.